the city of New Orleans in terms of infrastructure is its people.
That's right.
And I will not stray away from that because, when you think about why folk flock here, you can still have the music, you can still have the food, you can have the ambiance. But if you don't have New Orleanians in New Orleans,
What's the t-shirt say?
Everything you love about New Orleans is
was
because
created by Black people.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes. And so, and that is what we have to keep affirming ourselves in understanding, right? You are the sauce. You are what people are coming to see. And so when we talk about perception, it has to start with us.
Right.
Because if we value each other, if we valued our communities, if we value our schools, if we value our children, then what we're doing is making certain that people understand that this for us is personal.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't come in here, being disrespectful to what is personal to me.
That's why, nothing grows, value for me, how it manifests itself is through an investment.
Yes.
Nothing grows without investment.
Yes.
I don't care if you're talking about
time.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have to invest in something.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't see something growing, I know it's because of a lack of investment. There was a time when I was involved in education reform.
Oh, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about
let's talk about it.
When I came here in 2004, I had no real interest in K-12 school. I was a education policy person, not necessarily at the curricular level, instructional level. I was more about the policy. But after the storm, I was thrust in this position where I got to oversee 4 charter schools, well, 2 at first. It grew to 4. That was during a time when so much change happened rapidly. Eventually, the New Orleans School Board fired its teachers, largely because funds were withheld by then Superintendent Cecil Picard, which was wild. I mean, because I was there at that board meeting. I was in the back, and I was just like, wow, what just happened? And because eventually, eventually I said, well, people will have to be hired. They got to bring back schools.
Are we talking pre-Katrina?
This is post-Katrina. This is like, what, December, January, something around that time. Okay. And I remember going, that's like, what is going to happen? And then, because I actually didn't think that was the racist act. You can argue if it was the withholding of funding, releasing of the teacher. Where I felt, and this is where I've started to become a little disaffected, it was the lack of rehiring of Black teachers.
Yes.
That showed a level of disinvestment in the community. And we know, and this is where I do believe in the structures, like a lot of people will say, oh, Andre, you're too structural. But some of the top predictors of academic achievement occur well outside the school. You're talking about income, you're talking about wealth, you're talking about housing, all these different things. If you're going to let go this many members of the middle class, you're hurting or throttling your opportunities to grow student learning.
Which is why it felt like an attack.
That's right.
That's why it felt like an attack. Because there's no sound basis for doing what you did. And then to usher in the type of workforce that you ushered in did not really show real investment in improving educational outcomes. So even if you felt like pushing these teachers out was the best thing at the moment, what you substituted them for was not at or better than the level that we had. So how do we say that this was done in the best interest of children?
This is what the pushback will be, that educational outcomes are better. But even then, I go like this. It's all about the how. Like, when I was in education, I would get this question asked all the time: what's the fastest way to close the Black-white achievement gap? And I would respond by, well, stop educating white people.
Yeah.
That's the fastest way.
Because you got to stagnate them to get them to catch up, because we're so pushed down.
But we would never do that.
No.
For obvious reasons. But what we will do, and we did this and it's changed, but we did expel kids in mass. We fired teachers in mass. We did a lot of negative things in the vein of closing the achievement gap.
But do you feel like the end justified the means?
No, but I believe in community.
Yeah.
It is the means. It's the how you do something that matters. That you cannot just harm people on your way to success.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, if the goal is to uplift a community, and that's when I recognized the goal wasn't the goal. The goal was just to get a numeric shift in test scores. If the goal should be to uplift the community,
right?
And yeah, it's going to be messy. It's going to be hard. But that's the right thing to do. In this very moment.
I would take messy and hard over harmful.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It could be messy.
Oh, absolutely.
It could be hard.
Absolutely.
It wasn't supposed to be harmful. It shouldn't have been harmful.
It should be the right thing to do.
Right.
And so for me, that's when I started to understand, and I'm a researcher. I believe in research, believe in data. But even then, I used to always say, don't be data-driven, be community-driven. Use the data to
inform.
To figure out the right way to do things. We can always come up with nefarious, boneheaded things to close a numerical gap.
But Andre, for me, I'm gonna tell you why what happened post Katrina felt offensive and still feels offensive to me.
So you still feel it?
I still feel it, and we're nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
It felt offensive, and it continues to feel offensive because folk continue to come in and do things to us, not with us. Right? They're not using us to inform the things that they're doing in the vein of reform.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that is offensive, because what it tells me is you think that you have this magic bullet that you're going to just unleash and it's going to cure all of our ailments. But you're ignoring that there are systemic things that are happening here that you refuse to address. Because I don't care how well you orchestrate a curriculum. If at the home, the mom is struggling to put food on the table and keep the lights on at the same time, she's not interested in what the school is talking about. So you won't get parental engagement because she's fighting for her livelihood over here. And we're worried about if the child has pencil and paper and paper towels and whatever else the school has on it. And so for me, as a principal, my ultimate goal was to be holistic in my approach to academic outcomes. And that included fostering a partnership between the home such that everything that I offered at my building, I extended it to the home. Mm-hmm. Because we believe, that parents are just disconnected. More often than not, they're struggling to make the ends meet, and they're also struggling academically.
What's crazy is if you are middle class, upper middle class, rich, we are some of the most disconnected people.
Very come on, so. Because you can't fathom that, right?
Right.
And that's still happening right now.
Right.
When you have conversations about that, people excuse it because it's like, wait, what do you mean? Because they're thinking from their lens. But my lived experience tells me that this is happening. Right.
Let me ask you this, because you still feel it. You ran for the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
What happened there?
Well, I didn't earn the seat.
You didn't?
Yeah. I did not. And I think it's a number of things. I believe that there is an orchestrated, very well resourced machine that it's doing what it does to keep the status. And what I mean by that is there's no real interest in moving children authentically academically here. This is about satisfying the numbers to ensure that the funding continues, to ensure that the machine continues to move in a direction in my opinion, of perpetual disservice. Because if we're talking about putting a person on a board, as you said, about policy, because that's what Bessie does. It doesn't get in the weeds with curriculum. It's a policy making board. If we want to put a person on a board to govern policy who does not believe in the value of public education or believe in the viability of public education, when a city like New Orleans, by and large, the majority of the children are depending on the public education structure, then what does that tell me? Mm-hmm. Then on some level, you're working to dismantle it, because what you want to do is privatize it such that the resources are pulled from it and you can put it into this different space. But you're doing so at the detriment of so many communities that have already been disserviced year after year after year. There's zero stability in this structure. When I was coming up as a student, my principal is my principal the entirety of my elementary school years. My teachers were my teachers for the entirety of my elementary school years. Our kids are seeing a different teacher year in and year out, a different leader year in and year out. Certainly there's some research that supports the stability of an organization, whether it's a school, whether it's a business. Mm-hmm. Stability is a foundational core to ensure that what we're saying we're doing, the outcome supports what we're saying we're doing. But we're running around here saying the school system is great, the kids are doing well, when the majority of them can't read on grade level and the juvenile crime rate is skyrocketing. Somewhere in the middle, right, something is wrong. Right? And so for me, when I ran for Bessie, I did so with the intent to put an educator on a policymaking board to ensure the protection of the institution that is public education. That was my goal.
What if you could run again? What would you change or not change?
Well, I would need some money because let's be honest. Okay. I didn't have that. And money just so that you can carry the message in different places and spaces. It takes money to do that. It takes money to put your name and your face in various rooms. It takes money to do that. Mm-hmm. And I also think that
but would you have changed anything to get the money?
No, sir. If not if it meant breaching my integrity, breaching my moral code, because I have a code of conduct for myself as it relates to who I am for children. There is not enough zeros you could put on a check to get me to compromise who I know I am, who my grandmother raised me to be for other people. Mm-hmm. And I am this way because a lot of people, they were that for me. They didn't receive anything to love me. They didn't receive anything to protect me.